I was having this conversation with my husband about why it seems that African men often marry significantly younger women. For example, a 40-year-old man might marry a 25-year-old woman, or even someone who's 21 or 22, or potentially hasn't started their career yet. But here in the US or in Western cultures in general, couples tend to be much closer in age. You'll often see a 30-year-old man married to a 30-year-old woman, or someone who's 29. Sometimes even the woman is older. We also notice that in African cultures, older women usually marry someone closer to their age. For instance, a 33-year-old woman might marry a man who's 31, 33, or 35. So initially, I thought this pattern was just a traditional norm passed down through generations. Older men have historically been the primary providers, so they typically married later in life. On the other hand, women weren't expected to be providers, so they got married once they were old enough to have children. Take my grandmother, for example. She got married at 16, had her first child at 18, and married a 25-year-old man. In her case, that age gap worked well. He was still a young man. But of course, others had very different experiences, like 16-year-old girls marrying men who were 40 or 45. After thinking about it for a while, I've actually changed my opinion. Here's what I now believe. One reason it seems like African men often marry much younger women is because younger women are generally viewed as lower maintenance. And I really stress that this is just my personal view, based off on my observation. And no, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Just that it's often cheaper to maintain a relationship with a younger woman if you are supporting her financially. And I'm not saying this is true for every young woman, but in general, that's the perception. In my opinion, money is the easiest and cheapest thing a man can offer a woman. But in many African societies, unlike in the West where young people often work while in high school, most people remain financially dependent on their parents well into their 20s. So an older man providing financial support to a much younger woman is seen as a big enough gesture, even if it's really the bare minimum. That economic dynamic might make it more common for older men to provide financial support to younger women, which can influence relationship dynamics. Because some young women don't have much life experience generally, they may not realize what a healthy partnership should actually look like. And men are aware of this. They know that by doing the least, it can appear like they're doing the most. So when a 40 or 45-year-old man courts a 21 or 22-year-old woman, she may be impressed simply because he's helping financially. But relationships require much more than financial support. For instance, emotional partnership and accountability. Something I've noticed isn't always emphasized in relationships, unless it's explicitly required of them. Accountability means being a partner, not just someone who expects submission. It means your voice is heard, you are included, your opinion is valued, and no decision, no matter how small, is made without your input. It also means you're not just being taken care of in exchange for keeping the house or being subservient. You're being respected, supported, and appreciated. These values, in my personal experience, are sometimes lacking in the traditional older man, younger woman dynamic I've seen in some African relationships. Often, the woman may not have enough relationship experience to know what she should be asking for. She may end up burned out, doing most of the housework, sacrificing her dreams, because her supposed pillar of support is only selectively supportive. These are real issues, in my opinion. I've also noticed that in many African settings, marriage tends to be more advantageous to men than to women. Marriage often isn't seen as a partnership. It's about being the head of someone who is expected to be completely submissive, keep the house, cook the meals, and be available for intimacy on demand. So from that angle, it makes sense, though it's problematic, that a man would choose someone younger, someone he thinks will be easier to control or tame. Tame is a very wrong word to use, I know, but I used it because I remembered something that happened a while ago. I was once engaged, and though it didn't work out, I later saw a message my ex had received from a senior friend. He had told this friend, an older woman, that he was thinking of getting serious with me, maybe even getting married, and she replied that I looked like someone who would be difficult to tame. That word stuck with me. Tame? Like I'm a wild animal? A domestic pet? Funny enough, my then fiance was just 2 years older than I was. But you get the picture I'm trying to paint here. I'll catch you in my next video, where I'll probably go on another little rant. Let me know what your thoughts are on age dynamics in relationships across cultures. Thanks for listening, and see you then.